This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com. The day of Elimination Chamber in Montreal. By the way, apparently last night in Montreal, WWE bleeped out the FU Roman chants from the Montreal crowd. Of course, Sami Zayn is from Montreal, so they're going to cheer him. There's no doubt he's over. I watched his speech. But as I said, I just can't take a guy seriously that doesn't look like he works out. And I think the mainstream would agree with that. As far as the Undertaker on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, which I did a review of yesterday, the link is in the description of this video. I said in my review yesterday I couldn't watch the last 20 minutes because Mike Tyson started to get fucked up for a while, and then the co-host I found annoying. But I did watch the last 20 minutes this morning, and there is one worthwhile story listening to in that last 20 minutes, and it's the Undertaker talking about his former tag team partner as the Skyscrapers, Danny Spivey, who was also in the Skyscrapers with Sid, who I'll be doing an interview with fairly soon. Talking to him about it more this week. He's just got to figure out how to do these online interviews. He needs somebody to assist him the day we do it. But anyways, we all know Danny Spivey's tough. I got a shoot interview with Danny Spivey on this channel. He's best known for beating up Adrian Adonis, which who really knows how tough Adrian was at that point in his career. He was morbidly obese by this point, and Spivey definitely had the reach advantage, but Adrian had been bullying people, and he tried to bully Spivey, and Spivey knocked him out twice, once in the ring, once backstage, as Undertaker said in this. But Undertaker goes on to say that Danny Spivey was known as Top Dollar Dan, the left-hand man, on the streets of Dale Marby in Tampa, where he was a pimp, which is the first I've heard of Danny Spivey being a pimp. So we learned something there, and he went on to tell the same story that Wes Briscoe told me in a shoot interview, that the Undertaker had told him, that Danny Spivey roughed up the Road Warriors one night, and the Undertaker was very nervous backstage after that he would have to fight the Road Warriors, but they just came up and thanked Danny Spivey after, due to the reputation of Dan Spivey, who I wish they would use in some capacity with Bray Wyatt. But unfortunately, they don't. They used him as the voice of the Buzzard, but they didn't use him as an on-screen role. And those two are close, so it's too bad, because Waylon Mercy never reached his full potential, and Bray Wyatt is a ripoff of Waylon Mercy. I'd actually rather watch Waylon Mercy and Dan Spivey any day than Bray Wyatt, who, speaking of Montreal, did a promo last night. And by the way, I guess Uncle Howdy is on his side now. I guess I missed that, but apparently they're together now. And he's not wrestling Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania, which had been the original plans. Maybe that was because Uncle Howdy fucked up a very simple move at the last pay-per-view, completely missing LA Knight, diving off of some type of riser, but missed LA Knight. Anyways, it looks like Bray Wyatt is challenging the winner of Lesnar versus Lashley. At Crown Jewel, Lesnar already beat Lashley in about 5 minutes. I was wondering if they were going to have possibly Lashley win at Elimination Chamber, then have the rubber match with those two at WrestleMania. But no, Bray Wyatt is challenging the winner. And obviously the money match there is Lesnar against Wyatt. So I would say that pretty much seals the deal, that Lesnar will win against Lashley tonight. And this is funny. Tony Khan and Ariel Helwani have been, I guess Tony Khan is insulted that Ariel Helwani is saying the WWE product is better than AEW. And Tony Khan said, I quote, "You're a fraud, Helwani. Good luck with the unbiased journalism," end quote. And then Ariel Helwani responded, quote, "If you are saying right now with a straight face that the AEW product is better than the WWE product, you're just a liar. You're an absolute liar. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. 6 months ago wasn't the case, but right this second, if you're going to sit here and say that it's a better product, you're an absolute liar," end quote. And I think Ariel Helwani is overrated as a journalist. I definitely do think he's overrated. Um, I'm not a big fan of him as a journalist. I've seen a lot of his interviews because he's able to get the guests due to his past association with big networks. But I will agree with him. From the highlights I've seen, like AEW is absolute crap right now. And I'm not a WWE fan. I am not. And I have no reason to be biased towards WWE. They don't like me. Both companies won't let me interview their wrestlers. So I have no reason to be biased to either one. But I do watch the highlights from both companies. If I had to sit through an event, I would rather go to a WWE event easily, because AEW, it's so fake and unrealistic. The whole thing where you can pin a guy with your tag team partner holding your hand up, like I recently saw in a big cast match. Like the referee doesn't even care if there's two guys in the ring during the pin, and they don't pay attention to tags. It's mostly just spot fest. They push guys like Orange Cassidy, who is just a totally unbelievable wrestler. This all these Japanese guys, which is just so boring, so boring. I'm sorry, I find Japanese wrestlers boring. I mean, I liked it when they had Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen and Terry Funk fighting against the Japanese, but Japanese wrestlers just coming in and doing spots and not being able to speak English that well. I just can't get into the characters. I'm not saying that they're not entertaining for the New Japan fan lovers, but for your average fan, it's just hard to identify with them, to me. But yeah, I'm not an AEW fan at all. The Flying Dutchman says, "Mean Mark Calloway." Jamal, I don't think Undertaker would destroy Mike Tyson in boxing, especially with all of his injuries. Well, guess what? My glasses help me see. If it makes you feel better to insult them, go ahead. I really don't care. You're not breaking my heart. Rolls says Tyson would KO Taker with one body shot. Well, I don't think Taker at any point is saying he could beat Mike Tyson. Big Money Dan, the left-hand man. That should have been his gimmick. He should have been the Godfather, which, by the way, I've interviewed the Godfather. He's a very nice guy. And Mike Undertaker in this says the Godfather is one of his best friends. WWE just, it has Brock Lesnar, who they've pushed better. They use more of the older guys, which I like. I don't see anything appealing to AEW. I honestly don't. The little smidget MJF as champion. The smart marks like these long, boring promos of MJF in the ring. I find them extremely boring. I don't find I although I will it I do like that that MJF uses kayfabe. I I just don't find him entertaining at all. He's incredibly boring to me. By the way, I like the days where Billy Jack Haynes said in his interview with me that Hogan was often coked up on his promos. And I actually went back and looked, and there's a lot of promos where Hogan is going like this, which for anyone that doesn't know, that's a sign of somebody that's on cocaine. And you don't just do that naturally. And I actually have seen a bunch of promos where Piper is clearly on stuff. And then we're talking about Dangerous Dan, the left-hand man who used to be a pimp. The characters, the real life characters, were just so much more entertaining in the past. Now it's all college graduates, great. They're going to live to be much older, but they're boring characters. And the products are boring. I'm not saying that I'm marking out for this bloodline storyline. I also find that fucking boring. I find it boring as hell and predictable as hell. Cody Rhodes, I find his promos boring. I'm sorry. Cody Rhodes is not going to be the next Hulk Hogan. He's not even going to be the next John Cena, but he is the best option right now because they don't have very many people that are over from the younger guys in WWE. But I would rather watch Cody Rhodes than MJF. I'm sorry. And there's just far too many cruiserweights and indie darlings in AEW. Big fish, no tough men anymore, all pretty boy. I mean, they got Lesnar. That's pretty much it. Lashley's tough. Lashley is tough. Phil, I haven't smoked pot for quite a while. I just been living the clean life. AEW Wrestling is made for the Wrestling Observer. They never became the remember when they first came back, they said they were going to be the classic wrestling, the NWA style of wrestling, and it turned out to be the PWG style of wrestling. I mean, AEW has 40% off tickets right now for Winnipeg. Chris Jericho hasn't wrestled in Winnipeg since WWE. They haven't had a TV taping there for wrestling in years. And Kenny Omega and Don Callis are from Winnipeg. But right now they got 40% off tickets in Winnipeg. Tony Khan versus Ariel Helwani, Dave Meltzer on a pole match. I have to admit, I said it before, when Helwani interviewed Zayn, there's a picture of them like this beside each other, and Helwani's biceps are bigger than Zayn. And that just tells a story to me that I can't get into a guy. People can chant, you deserve this all you want. I would think someone deserves it that actually works out and looks like a tough guy. I can't get into a guy that doesn't look tough. And to me, Sami Zayn doesn't look tough. And as I said, I'm not biased to any company. I'm seriously not. The only ones I would be biased to are ones that co-promote on this channel, which none of those companies do. And I can tell you, out of all the TV companies, first I'd rather watch WWE than AEW, but I'm not going out of my way to watch either one of those products. Thomas loved the Tombstone. Someone says, well, you know, Mean Gene. A lot of jealousy again. No, I'll be honest with you, and anyone that follows this channel would know I actually don't find wrestling entertaining, which is why you've seen me do like 5 videos over the past week about the UFO situation with the governments, because I'm much more interested in that. But thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate all the viewers that watch and comment on my channel. Donnie says wrestling hasn't been the same since 1989. Chris says he finds it funny that Lanny considered himself a small guy in the 80s and he'd be bigger than 90% of the AEW roster right now. I actually mentioned this after Lanny died. I went back and watched his match against Hulk Hogan from 89. And I have to admit, it was the first full wrestling match I'd watched in a long time because the current ones just can't hold my attention span. And what stood out to me from that match is Lanny Poffo is so much bigger than the majority of wrestlers today. And he always talked about to me that he was never big enough for a real push. So there you go. AEW pretentious with having media scrum. Well, I've never been invited to any of their media scrums. And I have way more subscribers than the Wrestling Observer. I have way more subscribers than Wrestling Inc. I have way more subscribers. I don't like, other than a handful of channels that are really well funded, and I am the #1 wrestling news channel in Canada. I'm never invited to any of these so-called media scrums, and they won't let me interview their wrestlers. John Paz can, but I can't. So I would definitely say these companies are also biased with the media. But WWE's media scrubs, I would say, are worse than AEW's, because WWE's media scrums are totally fake and there's no real questions asked. Where at least with AEW, they will allow the reporters to ask real questions. I mean, as far as MJF, I do find him more entertaining than Sami Zayn. I'm not like a huge Cody Rhodes fan, but he's one of the better wrestlers today, considering that there's not that many good wrestlers today. But I would rather watch Cody than MJF. But at least MJF looks like he works out. He may be short, but he looks like he works out, where Sammy doesn't look like he works out. Sorry. Ocean View, yes, Sammy is a great politician. If you want, I'll tell you guys one thing. Jeremy Prophet is a way better wrestler than both Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but he never got his opportunity because he wasn't as good a politician. Cedric Rougeau had way more potential as a Montreal wrestler than a guy like Sami Zayn, but was a worse politician. So we have guys like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens getting the pushes, which, as I said, good for the people that like him, but I just can't buy a guy that doesn't look like he works out. But I'm not denying that the fans were going nuts for him in his hometown of Montreal last night. Why do I talk about it if I don't like it? Because I find the news interesting and it's my job. And I would rather do this as a living than a normal job. And people like hearing me talk about it, hence why I can make a living at it. Donnie says Lanny was a good-sized guy. Vic the Sheik talks about the Sheik, who I'm interviewing, one of the Sheik's managers, Dave Drayson, Wednesday at 4. Yes, Vic, I would have fit in a lot better in the 70s, or if it was still the territory, I would. My real life personality and my wrestling characters were more suited to the 70s and 80s. I mean, Kevin Sullivan even said that. Today, I just don't fit in, and that's why I quit. And then I think it's Triple H that's responsible for pushing Sami Zayn. And I wish everyone a great afternoon. And I'll check in with you guys later with the Elimination Chamber results.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not